Well, it's 10 to 1 on a Saturday evening, or Sunday morning even, and I've been talking or thinking about for months doing a sort of a tour of my setup up here, and it's never happened for various reasons, so I've just decided I'm going to do it right now live, and I haven't bothered to tidy up or do anything to make this place look presentable, so this is as real as it gets. These are my 6 monitors. People always comment on that. Why do I have 6 monitors? It looks class. Well, there's just a couple of reasons. Bottom 3 are for the PC. Do I need 3 monitors for my PC? Probably not, but you know, it makes life really handy when you're coding. I can have a video going, I can have me coding on one screen, I can have chatting with somebody else on another screen, or, you know, my coding tutorial on the other screen. Up here, top right, that's one's pretty much just a spare generally. If I'm working on a computer or working on, you know, anything that needs a monitor really, I can plug that in up there and, you know, it's at a place where I can see it very easily. Next to it's just an ordinary TV. And then that's the security monitor, which is fed from a Pi Zero hanging down here. On the desk, wireless Logitech keyboard and mouse, fairly standard stuff, condenser mic, audio mixer. Why do I have a condenser mic and an audio mixer on my desk? Well, I don't need it, but you know what, it's always handy to have that there, and have decent sound if you ever have to, you know, talk to people, do a recording, voiceover, that kind of thing. Also, it's just a good place to keep them so they don't get damaged, because if they lay in that shelf, you wouldn't know what would happen to them. This is also where the oscilloscope lives, dual channel oscilloscope. That gets used on a very regular basis. Next to it we have a CRT up here. It's an old colour CCTV type CRT, not broadcast unfortunately, because those are just completely sky high prices, but I use that for things like this teletext decoder. Obviously the CRT, the colours are brighter and stuff, it just looks nicer, but the main thing is, if you have an old dodgy video signal that won't sync properly, at least you can see something of it on here, whereas this here guy will just give you a blue screen, which is no good. You can't tell anything from that, so throw it on the CRT. On top of the CRT we have an LCR meter and a benchtop multimeter. Those get used very regularly as well for testing just anything really. Over here we have a function generator and my soldering station, which has just the ordinary soldering iron, as well as a hot air station, which I've mounted to the side of my desk for handiness sake, and a benchtop power supply. And then this up here is just a wee component tester for testing capacitors and that kind of thing. The desk, well, it's a complete mess, but I can tell you roughly what's going on here. That's the InVision decoder, which, as you can see, is wired up very properly at the moment, simply because I'm working on a remote for it, which is here, along with all the bits for it. So a couple of months back, I thought I'd try and get myself more organised, so I got a bunch of these wee boxes. These have, do I have a lid handy? No, I don't have a lid handy, but the lid goes over the top with quite an overhang, so even if you tip this over, things don't fall out of the lid and stuff, which is really handy. So I try and keep all the stuff from one project in one of these wee boxes, and then that keeps all the wee screws and bits, you know, all together, and then I know where they are, in theory. There's an LED strip, a couple of other circuit boards, there's something else I've been working on. Bunch of cotton buds, those are for the IPA. This is not hand sanitizer or soap or anything cool like that, it's just an empty bottle which I've put water in. I use that to fill up the sponge on the soldering iron, because then you can get it nice and wet without having to go downstairs to get, you know, water from the tap, because that's such a hardship, you know. This is a microscope. Can use that for SMD soldering, or just any soldering really. It's really handy for getting a good close-up of what you're working at. There's a good bright light on it, so I have been known to even just use it for the light. Don't look at your fingernails under it, because they're disgusting. Underneath the table there's this conduit. Put that in recently, quite pleased with that, as you can guess. 3 compartments, so I have This is quite cool. I have the network feed. This is a direct feed back to the comms cabinet up in the communications rack in the attic over in the house, and video feeds. So those are also directly back to the house, so I can get live or composite video feeds to and from the rack from up here. Just plenty of ordinary sockets and network sockets. The network sockets in general are fed off a switch over in the cupboard over there, which is in turn fed by a fibre optic switch. So that's it's overkill, but you know what? The fibre will pretty much never go out of date in my lifetime, so that's good to know. I also have this metal cable basket tray stuff. It's only small because it's only under a desk, and it's maybe not the most secure job in the world, but it holds the cables up and it keeps things a bit more neat down here. Have this computer. Why is it sitting open? Well, because I was poking at it. That's pretty much all you need to know about that. There's a disk drive hanging out because the disk drive that's in it inexplicably doesn't work. Why did I need a disk drive? Well, that's a whole other story. That's a wee composite to VGA converter for that monitor above if I ever need it. Need a sticker on my adapter in case somebody nicks it, There's that Pi Zero. That just receives 4 different video feeds over Wi-Fi, and then that gets converted to VGA, which goes up to the monitor above. That's pretty much all there is under here. So that's the desk. There are a couple of other bits and pieces. Over here have just a stack of different breadboards and things that I'm in the middle of fixing but haven't got around to finishing yet. All that kind of thing. Even outside lights for a future project whenever I find the motivation. That looks like a disk drive in there. I don't know where that came out of. This is my dad's plane. There is the boxes and boxes of cables that everybody technical has lying around their house. And then over here is the drawer, or chest of drawers that I use to keep all my components in. There's a load missing out of it. That's because those are over here. So that's pretty much all there is up here. We'll take a look in the comms area. Well, we're in voiceover because I didn't want to be talking to myself when there's people at home. So this is the front part of the attic. You can see this is where the fibre optic feed comes in over on the right there. That joins into that optical network terminal, which in turn plugs into the router. That's pretty much all there is here, so let's jump over to the rack. The comms rack is over here, and you can see there's an absolute load of clutter all around it. The main things to point, well, there's that network patch panel up at the top. That's where all my network feeds come in and stuff to various parts of the house. Below that is a 35 quid 24 port Netgear network switch. Which you can see I'm using about half of. There's also the 2 fibre optic feeds coming in from the garage. They're pretty useful. I'm only using one at the minute, but down below I have a separate PoE switch because the main switch doesn't do PoE, unfortunately. Then below that we have the 4 CRTs, which are used to see various video feeds around the rack. Down below that we have a video scaler. Now that's used to convert VGA over to composite video. And over here we have a flight radar box, which is in bits because it's playing up at the moment. Below that we have a distribution unit which feeds video feeds to various locations as needs be. Below that we have a 16-way video matrix which I modified to make it web controllable, so you can see that on my website. Below that then there is Nmp Server 6, which I built from scratch, and it's doing a whole load of stuff. There's virtual machines running and that on it, and it's not really all that noisy either, which is quite useful. And finally below that we have the main UPS, and that's pretty much all there is to see up here. I mean, Yeah, you can see it's a real mess because I'm busy working on it actually at the moment. You can see to try and tidy up some of this awful cabling round the back here. You can see I've gone so far, I've put a bit of wood up on the chimney and I've put some sockets in. So we're getting there, but plenty more to do. Anyway, that's pretty much all there is to see here, so hope you enjoyed this very last minute video, and thanks for watching.